You're listening to Operation Self Reset with Jake Naraki. What is going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake Naraki, coming to you live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where each and every week we dive into a different topic in the world of personal development. With that, this is going to be a short one, just because there's a lot of fires that are burning on my side of the fence, and I don't want to bore you guys with anything that doesn't provide you value. And so today I'm going to make it quick. And with that, we're going to talk about the power of wanting to be positive. Now, I heard a study as of late that in Canada, they're trying to figure out different ways to help people, to change their attitudes, to change their beliefs, to change their ideas. For example, with individuals that sped, usually in Canada, they have cameras and they take a photo of your car, and the cameras are so good that they can take a picture of you sitting in the car, which identifies you as the driver, and then they send you a speeding ticket or a ticket for a not valid license plate or a wrong turn or what have you. Kind of creepy, but cool in a way, I guess, if it's cool if you're not the person getting a ticket. But nonetheless, when they would send you a ticket, it was just very formal. They would just say, hey, on this date, you did this, and you owe us X amount of money, or its impact on your driver's license for whatever the case is. And instead of doing that, they started to rotate. Instead of people that were speeding and requesting them to send money in, they would ask, or they would send you, if you were in violation of the speed, they would send you a picture of a tombstone or a picture of a intersection with candles and balloons and teddy bears in remembrance of a child or a person that was killed because of a person that sped. And they're trying to figure out if pulling on these emotional levers would alter or dictate different outcomes in people. And so they started to do that with speeding violations. They started to do that with other type of media, trying to pull on emotional strings. I can't remember exactly another one. But what I'm getting to is this big study or this big case. And this is a long-term study that they did within the prisons in Canada. Now, I don't know what prison this was at. I don't know how long it was run for. I believe it was run for a couple years. And they decided to sit down with individuals that were prosecuted for doing criminal acts. They were in prison for life. They were people that were released from prison, and they started to interview these individuals and to try to figure out what were some recurring themes or ideas, statements, visions, kind of reborn again identities within these people that they could pull kind of quotes, ideas out of and use to help other people. And so, for example, an individual that was incarcerated for killing another person, and they served their term for, maybe it wasn't manslaughter, but it was, through reckless driving or a DUI or drunken, at the wheel, and they were in prison for 15 years, and after the 15 years, they were released, they were interviewed, and a couple of the ideas that were brought out during the interview process was nothing more than, I realized that my mistakes that I made are behind me, and I have a bright future ahead of me. And they took that quote, and instead of just using it as an interview, they used it as leverage to possibly help other people that are incarcerated. So inside of the prison cell, as you can imagine, maybe you've been in a prison yourself, so you understand this. I have not, fortunately, knock on wood. But in a prison, obviously, it's pretty bland, right? A lot of gray, a lot of cream colors. There's not much on the walls. It's very vanilla. It's very plain. Well, in some of the prison cells, they decided to put up some of these quotes. I think they called it positive graffiti. Basically, it was airbrush quotes, kind of ideas, little stories that basically showed a person that was down and out, but then they kind of had this vision of a better future, and it allowed them to become better people out of it. And so they thought, the people in Canada, the individuals who ran the prisons and jails, thought that maybe putting positive messages on the inside of a prison a cell could alter or help the individual who's sitting there. And instead of sitting there staring at a blank wall, you're sitting there staring at this quote over and over again. You're reading it, you're analyzing it, it's kind of growing on you. And they thought sublicity, or through subliminal messaging, it could alter the way that criminal thought in that moment. And they did this for a very long time. They did this through multiple jails. There was no rhyme or reason on the person that was being prosecuted or the person that was in jail of what the crime was. So it wasn't like all people that, went in there for killing somebody, or it wasn't for theft, or it wasn't for other bad things. It was just kind of random, whatever. And they wanted to really see if positive graffiti could impact the prisoners that were inside of the walls of that jail, prison, what have you. And over the course of many years, I'm kind of dragging this out because it's really interesting. They were really excited. They thought this was going to be mind blowing, and in actuality, there was no impact. There was absolutely no impact to the people that had positive messages on the inside of the jail cell versus the individuals who just had nothing, who had a gray wall or a cream wall or whatever. And the individual who kind of put this forward, who invested the time, the money, the resources, the interviews, was really kind of disappointed, but at the same time wasn't surprised. Now, it's interesting coming from my side of the fence. Obviously, I'm trying to be a positive individual. I'm, giving you guys stories and ideas on positivity, and kind of making, yourself your own individual, goal setting, reaching out, becoming better. Little steps at a time. But what I gained out of that message, what I gained out of that story, wasn't so much of, these criminals can't change, these criminals are truly bad from the core, these criminals, even with good messaging and good ideas, still don't care about society. That's not what I got out of it. What I got out of it was that people will choose to be positive, or they'll choose not to be positive. It is truly a one or a two. It's a black or a white, a yes or a no. It's very 50-50. And it's up to that individual to make that choice. It's as if you're teaching a child how to write, to read, to tie their own shoes. They're either going to want to try it, or they're going to resist and not try it. You can't really force them to do it. They really need to try it themselves. And over time, obviously, with children, chances are they'll get it. But with people that are older, wiser, that have done maybe bad things in their lives, they chose that for some odd reason. Now, not every person that goes into prison, they chose that route. I know some people are incarcerated for, they got caught up in a bad situation. They're usually a good person, what have you. That's not the moral of this story. The moral of the story is, what I got out of it is that if you want to be positive, or you want to become better, or live a better life, or change, or whatever, you need to make that choice. It doesn't matter how many quotes you have on your living room floor, your walls, or inside of your closet. It doesn't matter of how many positive people you hang out with. It doesn't matter how many times you go to the gym, or what you eat, or whatever. Now, do those things help? Of course they do, 100%. But it is truly up to you to go to the gym, to change the friends you hang out with, to put up the positive quotes, to read the positive quotes, to believe in the positive quotes. And, kind of going back on my own personal journey, there's a framework that I use and that I teach other people, and that's called the self-reset slap, where each finger represents a different idea. And if you look at your left hand, if you're driving or cleaning, just look at your left hand for a second. Your thumb represents gratitude, your index finger represents leadership, middle finger is attitude, ring finger is love, pinky is help, and the last, the palm, which brings it all together, is belief. You need to believe that those 5 kind of key ideas can truly help you, and then of course you can go through your own personal reset and blah blah blah. But what I'm getting to is that if you don't believe in belief, it's not going to work. The same with the positive affirmations on the inner walls of that cell. If you don't believe in that quote, if you don't believe in that idea, if you don't believe in that story, it's not going to help. And so for you, if you're on that fence and you're listening to this podcast, another podcast, and you're reading this and that, and you're trying to change, good for you, bravo. But at the end of the day, all that is left is your choice of willing to improve or willing not to improve. That is the true question. And so I leave that in your hands. It's kind of a deep one. There are people that believe that their idea was going to help. They believe that putting positive messages inside of a prison was going to help. That belief allowed that thing to happen. That belief of the messaging was the idea, the outcome that they knew was going to change. So they got the funding, they put the words on the wall, but yet it did not come into anything. It did not grow into this beautiful tree that they hoped. And so for you, when you're going through your journey, and I'm not just talking about belief or positivity, but I'm talking about every aspect when it comes to your life, it is truly a yes or no. Do you want to go for it, or do you not want to go for it? Do you want to go for the promotion, or do you not want to go for the promotion? Do you want to improve? Do you not want to improve? Do you want to get rid of debt? Do you not want to get rid of debt? It is truly up to you. It is a question that you need to ask yourself, and it's a question, are you willing to sacrifice other things for the benefit of that answer? Deep thought. Deep thought. Yes or no? Are you willing? Are you willing to go through it? Are you willing to believe in it? Are you willing to choose? The choice is yours. Choose wisely, my friends. So with that, that is all I have for you guys today. Very interesting kind of idea. When I read that story, I thought truly that the inmates were going to change, and I was disappointed, probably like that person was that spearheaded that whole operation. So all you can do is run you and do your personal best in a pretty chaotic world. Go out there, be freaking awesome. If you know of anybody that needs a little bit of awesomeness, feel free to share this podcast. With that being said, we'll catch you guys next week, Wednesday, for another great episode of Operation Self Reset. We'll see ya.